But there is also, a lot of positivity in the film because it's going to be hard to find a person that's more heroic in any other film, than I don't know. You look at Marty Supreme and sort of, you wonder who's redeemable. Men in this film are redeemable. They're
redeemed, I would argue, but I mean, absolutely. The way they have educated themselves, the way they have inspired others, it truly is. Yeah, it's. I wish I could feel hopeful. I wish I could feel hopeful. And maybe that's a question for both of you. What is the emotion that you want people to have after they've seen the film?
Well, I think it's unavoidable that people feel angry.
Okay, good. All right,
partly
check.
Because, partly because they've been prevented from hearing and seeing what's going on under their noses and what's going on with their tax dollars. And then they just feel an emotional connection to the men, and they realize that these are human beings, and in fact, really impressive human beings who could be doing incredible things on the outside. And so sometimes people just feel tricked. They feel like, why is my state government, even, well beyond Alabama, right? In New York State, they just murdered Robert Brooks on camera. The only reason that we know how he died, which is that he was beaten to death, is because the officers, were, I don't know, so confident that nothing would happen to them that they left their body cameras on. And so...
At least they were required to have body cameras, which is more than we can say for Alabama, but yes.
Yeah. But we do have, the hope, I guess, that Charlotte and I come away with is if these guys can stand up to authoritarian power and their individual contributions are so important to so many other people, right? Because both Melvin and Kinetic have life without parole sentences, and we would like to see them get out. But there's no question that they're not just in there fighting for themselves to be released and then they're not going to look back. They're spending all this time and taking these risks, fighting on behalf of the other 20,000 people who are locked up in that system. And the other thing that's been really encouraging is even though there is, retaliation against these men periodically for whatever activism they decide to do, this last round where their supporters announced a work strike and then suddenly they got whisked to solitary confinement. The people who would theoretically be the organizers of the work strike are not people that the prison wants floating around, being able to talk to people. So they isolate them. And yet people who had seen them in the film now, because people know them, we were able to galvanize a lot of those people, and people started to understand what was happening to the men, and they started making hundreds of phone calls. And we gave them on the website, on the alabamasolution.com website, we gave them calls to action, and thousands of people engaged and wrote letters and made calls. And then one of the men, Melvin Ray, was just released from solitary. So we feel like the public pressure works, and that the more attention we can get on the men, the safer they'll be, and the more they'll be able to tell the truth about what's happening inside.